Islamist extremism and Islamist terrorism is the biggest faith-based challenge that we have. But they're very loud, very aggressive, and they're using coercive tactics and sometimes subversive behaviour to get their point across. Are very aggressive, are very loud, and are not representative of the majority British Sikh community. A very small group of people using aggressive tactics to try and encourage all Sikhs to believe what they believe. It's well known that Islamist extremism and Islamist terrorism is the biggest faith-based challenge that we have. But again, I point out in the report that by far the biggest victims of Islamist extremism are Muslims, and the vast majority of Muslims in the UK are kind, generous, warm, friendly, decent people, but they're being let down by a very tiny minority who are causing these problems. We also have a problem in the UK with white supremacists and neo-Nazis, and some of them, they're very small, but it's still for the victims of their hateful behaviour. And this is something that government have not been looking at as closely as they should have been. Although I'm pleased to say that in recent years, because of the work that I've been doing, they have now begun to have a good look at Sikh extremism and pro-Khalistani extremism. Now, the issue with the British Sikh community is that the overwhelming majority of them are the nicest, kindest, and most decent people that we have in the UK. They're generous. They are hardworking. They are overrepresented in academia and in high-paying jobs. They are very, very good people. I say that they are the best of British. A tiny minority that are amongst them are very aggressive, are very loud, and are not representative of the majority British Sikh community. And in our evidence gathering for the report, a very large number of British Sikhs gave evidence to say that they felt that something needed to be done to tackle the rise of what they call extremist behaviour within their own community. And as we were doing, and as I was doing the evidence gathering and looking at this problem, it really, I think, opened my eyes and opened the eyes of many of my colleagues to just how big the problem is, where we have got, as I say, a very small minority, but they're very loud, very aggressive, and they're using coercive tactics and sometimes subversive behaviour to get their point across. Now, look, it's worth me saying that I think I'm pretty liberal. And we live in a liberal society. People can believe whatever they want to believe, and if somebody wants to believe, in an independent state called Khalistan, they're free to believe that in the UK. But what they can't do is bully, intimidate, and aggressively coerce others to believe that, or to give money to that, or to make that somehow a condition of their purity of being a Sikh. And unfortunately, that is what we're seeing. So we are seeing a very small group of people using aggressive tactics to try and encourage all Sikhs to believe what they believe about whether it's a state of Khalistan or whether it's other issues. And so, I'm very pleased to say that in the last few years, the British government have been increasing its awareness of this problem, and they're beginning to tackle it. I consider it an enormous privilege that I live in a country which is tolerant and free, and we have the liberty to go and protest of whatever we don't want. In fact, it's the same in India. People can protest in India without fear of being arrested. But when that protest becomes violent, when that protest includes criminal damage, and when it involves coercing others to behave in a criminal way, that's where it crosses the line. So I'm always very, very pleased. And I live and work in London. We have protests every day about something or other. It's just the nature of living in a free democratic society. And I treasure that, and I'm encouraged by that. But we have to draw the line when it becomes violent, or when it becomes coercive, or where there's criminal damage involved. So to answer your question directly, I hope it doesn't damage the relations between the UK and India. We have some of the strongest ties, a great deal of affection, and obviously a shared history that goes back many hundreds of years. And I hope that continues, whether that's with the British Hindu community, the British Sikh community, the British Muslim community, whoever it may be. We have to continue to build on those things that bind us together rather than would divide us.